Along with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher, I'm Andrew Monaco. Thank you so much for joining us, being here at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Joining us on Facebook Live as we stream this and all across the Texas A&M Football Network. We thank you for being with us this evening. Coming up on the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, we will review Saturday's game against Auburn. We will preview what's ahead on this Saturday from AT&T Stadium when the Fighting Texas Aggies take on the Arkansas Razorbacks, meeting number 76 in the tradition and the history of that series, Southwest Classic. Once again, we have questions from you in the audience. We always invite your questions. We've got the question box right here and much, much more as we talk with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher. That is what's ahead. So glad that you are with us. We'll come back. We've got Coach with us. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield, IMG College.
What a catch! Inside the 25, he had an Auburn defender draped on him, and Oz made the reception. At the end of the first quarter.
8 catches for Jamon Osmond on Saturday in the game against Auburn. That wasn't his only great catch. He had another one in that one too. He's been so much fun to watch and Coach and I will talk a little bit more about Jamon and the leadership aspect of that. But as we continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit, the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher, is with us. Howdy, Coach.
Howdy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, doing good. We did that catch, and Jamon finished that first quarter. I said we would review the Auburn game. Your thoughts following that game against the Tigers on Saturday?
Disappointed in how we performed at times, had opportunities in the game, didn't start like we needed to start, got behind, had opportunities to come back and match it, missed a field goal. Got behind again and had a couple other opportunities and had a few nitpick, had a couple self-inflicted wounds with a motion penalty, but which really wasn't. But anyway, we'll move on from there. That was a big one, but and had 2 or 3 opportunities though. But that didn't go. We had opportunities to make it. Deacon Game gave up 1 punt return that helped him set up a score. Was the ball and the ball we had it down, the ball bounced and just it ran by the guy instead of just breaking down on him. Some little things that are very technical, but at the same time, when you play good football teams, all those little, I keep saying, the inches, that gets back to 3 or 4 or 5 plays. And you got to find a way that no play can have an inch. Occasionally one may, but you got to scratch and claw and fight for those inches constantly. Then once and couldn't get a rhythm on offense because we do it, shooter, and all of a sudden got a rhythm and score 3 straight drives. I mean, move the ball up and down the field. And we never had a problem really moving the football during the day. A couple times we got overpowered inside by 5. 5 was a really good player. I give them credit. I mean, and at times he made his plays. But, every team has good players like that. Defensively, then got on our ground and did really well. Sudden change after the fumble. The fumble coming out second half was big, especially after we got a big run and started to get some momentum there. And we didn't have sudden change defense, didn't get that stopped. And then we get a drive and get back in it, and then we give up an 8-minute drive. You know what I mean? And they get control of the game, the momentum. They did the things they had to do. Now, did we quit? No. Did we play hard? Yes. Did we play as well as we need to? No. At the same time, we're very close. But at the same time, you can say we're close, but close can be close until you decide you don't want to be close anymore. My point is you got to make your mind up that enough's enough, and you got to go over it. We got good kids. We got good players. We just got to play better. And we have to coach better. We have to get them in that position, make sure their fundamentals are there, make sure they do it in practice every time right, so when they get to the game, the habits are there. It's on everybody. It's involved, and it's not from lack of trying. And sometimes I think we press a little bit. I think our kids press a little bit because they want to be successful and have expectations, and that's all part of growing up, though. When you're young, dealing with expectations and still have to perform. That's all. We all have that. And then all of a sudden, you get halfway through it, you blow a couple opportunities, and you say, oh, I can do this. Well, that time it's the middle of the second quarter, and sometimes you're fighting an uphill battle. So those are all things we have to grow from. But we're not happy at all where we're at. But at the same time, not disappointed in that things can't be fixed and fixed very quickly if we can get that. And we need to start it this weekend, keep battling this week, get better fundamentally, and then go play a good Arkansas team and play well.
Buddy Johnson was asked Monday from someone in the media, said, hey, how good would it be to dominate the game on Saturday? And Buddy said, that would be great, but we've got to dominate practice on Monday.
Yes.
That shows you some of the leadership from us.
Well, it does, but does it carry on? And then, today, there's a couple of moments we started to lapse, and I just stopped and I said, all right, this is exactly what happens in the game. Why is this starting to happen? It happens. You do this. It's not this team. I mean, I've done this with every team I've ever had. You have to educate. You know what I'm saying? As much as you yell and push, then you have to stop and say, listen, do you feel what's happening right now? That's some of those momentum swings in the game that we allow those little lapses to happen. Can you grasp that? Well, yeah. Well, then why are we doing it?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's stop it. But I've done that with the undefeated national championship teams I've been a part of. You have to stop and educate and get them to understand how their mind is working at that particular moment. To run, oh, okay. Now I can't let what I mean. You got to grind through, and there's a grind mode there that you can't ever let up, and that's part of what we're trying to get through. But all teams do.
Right.
That's trust me. I talk to every coach in the country. We all sound like broken records. I mean, even the ones that are winning and successful. I always said this when we were some of those undefeated teams. Me and Sean were talking about that the other day. One year we were 14-0 or 13-0, and we thought back. We could have been 8-5 about as quick as we were 13-0. I mean, there was just those few moments that those teams understood how to grasp back through those moments. And that's what it's about, and we have to get there.
As a coach, you're teaching them also to recognize that that's happening in
yes,
practice?
You got to feel it. I mean, it's like everybody can fix something after it's broke, but I want to fix it while it's starting to break or before it breaks. You got to get a feeling. You know what I mean? It's don't put yourself in that situation to have to alter it out. Start to feel it happen and stop it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's all part of maturity and experience and a lot of things like that. Some of that happens to happen on the field, but you just got to keep educating, and then finally it'll start to click.
One thing you said on Monday, which I find the way you said it, the matching score is big in football, isn't it? When
It is. Well, I mean, your momentum's, they scored. Can you come back and at least match and score, get something out of it, and not let that momentum keep swinging and running? And if you look at sports, they're runs of momentum. Mm-hmm. Every game, the big innings in baseball, the runs in basketball that'll happen, those 3 or 5 minute runs, and those great teams can say, you know what? Let me manage the crisis. Mm-hmm. All right, they got to run here, but I'm going to manage this so where it doesn't become overwhelming where I can't get my feet back on the ground and battle back. You know what I mean? I slipped and fell, but I can get up quickly and I can get my balance, and I may lose a couple things here, but it's not out of reach. Mm-hmm. And you got to learn to match, and then when you get momentum, learn to keep momentum.
Right.
And that was two things. Like, for instance, in the Clemson game, we actually scored first. Mm-hmm. And then they come back and scored the next drive. Then we were driving and had a turnover. And then last week, all right, they scored, and then we were driving right back. We missed a field goal. Right. Then we get back to 21-10, then we give up a drive. I mean, and understanding how to keep momentum, because it's like anybody. It's like if you're in a fight in a boxing match, you see a guy get hit with a haymaker, you can bank, even if he's hurt, that guy's going to do what in a couple? He's going to throw a couple back because he's got to get you off of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, and you got to know that that's coming back and absorb that and be able to stop it. And it's a maturity about how to play the game and to be successful. And those are all educational things that we have to get to, and we have to keep coaching and teaching until we can get them taught.
He's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. That's Jimbo Fisher. This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. A reminder, Aggie football brought to you by AT&T, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing, that's our thing. Much more to come. Stay with us. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. This is Aggie football from Learfield IMG College.
And now they're stacked on the left side. Bo Nix looking left. Pressure D's gonna go down! The sack by Justin Matabike.
Justin Matabike with the sack for the Aggies in that game. The pressure on Bo Nix. Auburn and the Aggies last Saturday. The Aggies and the Razorbacks will come up this Saturday. 11 o'clock kick from AT&T Stadium. The Southwest Classic will be with you 10 o'clock with the CHI St. Joseph Health pregame show. Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. Coach, you used the word rhythm on your media availability on Monday. You touched on it first segment about the slow start. Will it be important to find that rhythm early against Arkansas on Saturday?
I think it always is. Listen, you never win a game in the first 5 minutes, but you can put yourself behind the 8 ball and blow one, or make it a heck of a climb. And I think getting started fast, starting the game, ending the first half, starting the second half, all those situations. And we have usually, we've been very good at that. Right now we're not doing enough of that and consistently enough of that in what we have, because you can steal games, and it sets the tempo for the rest of the half a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And, we have to do that, and that's what we've been working at. I say, all right, if we're going to do it in the game, we got to start practice better. I mean, what I'm saying is the energy levels and the focus, and you say it all the time, but, you try to make it relevant what you do during the week that transmits to the game.
Don't wait until the 4th, 5th, 6th period during practice, right? Come right out of the first.
And sometimes that comes from being tentative. You have to be over being tentative, because first time when you go in a game, and some guys, all right, once the score gets behind or something, okay, something, dadgone, we got to get going. And all of a sudden you just let loose and go. Sometimes when it's even with young guys, and I'm not saying this way, but you want to do good, but you also don't want to. I don't want to screw it up. There's a glass half full, is a half empty. You got to believe in what you're doing, trust it, throw it out there. Here's what you practice. Trust your eyes and react. Ain't time to think now. If we're thinking, we're behind. You got to trust it, process the information, see it, and let's go.
I was talking with my partner, Dave Elmendorf, and lamenting not being able to run. I said, it would have been nice to run. Coach always talks about the balance. He looked at me and goes, Andrew, Auburn had an awful lot to do with that. And you were talking about guys playing on Sundays.
Yes, they had a good front. We had opportunities, though, and we should have got more than we did, but they're a very good front. They have very good people, and as I say, you say in certain things when you put down, you say that's an X and that's an O and that should be blocked. Well, sometimes that don't work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's great players, and it takes 2 guys or 1 guy, and they were played to run very well, and but we had some opportunities that we just got to get better at.
Despite not being able to do that, does it make what Kellen and this offense did in the 4th quarter with those 17 points
it shows
more
you
impressive?
Yes. I mean, you come out 3 straight drives, and we made some tremendous, tightly contested throws, some great catches. Battle for balls, got open and some tight coverage because they covered, and they played a lot of man coverage, and there wasn't many open guys. When you play like they play in a good defenses, open is that's open. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be accurate in making throws, and to also do it when things haven't went well. It's hard. It's like when you haven't had a good day, it's hard to make the end of the day super when it all day has been frustrating, because that all builds up in your mind too, and that's part of learning to compete. And that's one of the things that we did take as a positive, that we didn't let it keep frustrating us, that we kept playing, and then all of a sudden found that rhythm and got into it. So I mean, there's some positives there, but I would rather do it from where we're ahead and learn to do it when it's 0-0.
That would be awesome. We heard the catch by Osmond at the top of this show. I've always looked at this receiving core as a committee. You could try to take someone away. I'm not sure that really works with the Aggies receivers. There's so many, and you have so much talent there.
We do, and how we read the offense. We direct the ball, but it's a coverage-based deal where how people are being played, which gives Kellen freedom to get the ball to certain guys on certain things. But there's a multi-talented group of guys in there that can play and do multiple things, yes.
I read something that Arkansas was expecting Kellen to run a little bit more. Chad Morris was making a comment. Will he run a little bit more? But I always think about what you say and what he has kind of told us, the progressions. Like younger quarterbacks, and you were saying this about Bo Nix, they like to run. That's their escape. But Kellen's looking at first, second, third, fourth. That ball can get down the field faster.
And you feel pressure, and you do that. And when you're young, you always run more because you don't know what the heck's going on. Running is a cover-up for not knowing the whole offense. And Roger Staubach used to say that's why he was called Roger the Dodger. They said, "Why'd you run so much?" He said, "Because I didn't know my second and third options. So I was athletic enough. I had to figure it out." And then as you mature, you do, and then you pick and choose those times when you do run. Or they can be design runs, which we can do that too, which we've done in the past. So, I mean, there's a multitude of things, but you have to understand there's only so much physical power. I mean, for instance, and I use this, the Cam Newtons of the world, even a guy of that physical stature it's broken him down. I mean, those guys have all gotten pounded, beaten, and the things in which they do that body can only take so many shots, and the wear and tear on that too. So it's a fine line. But what we have to do is find enough of everything we do so we can just move the daggone ball and score points. That's the object.
I promise you, we did not talk before this, but I actually have a Roger Staubach, and I use this at one of the coaches' nights. Yeah. Ready? Spectacular achievements are always preceded by unspectacular preparation.
Exactly. I mean,
that's Roger Staubach.
But listen, that guy right there. Of everything I've ever heard, because people have an image of people, and Mr. Captain America, and everything I've ever heard about that guy it's amazing. And he takes everything that while he was on the field to off the field to the kind of person he is, to the kind of husband he is, the kind of father he is. It's amazing. But he's right. That's what we talk about. The unspectacular preparation. That's the process we talk about. When nobody, what are you doing when nobody's watching? I mean, listen, Tom Brady hadn't won 6 Super Bowls by accident. Right. Those guys, their work ethic, their preparation, and the meticulous detail. That's a grind. It's not just a physical grind. The grind is really the mental grind of attention to detail and focus. Think how long you can truly focus as a human being on something. And I mean in detail for long periods of time. And I do as a coach. I have to challenge myself. And that, your mind is work to me just like your arms and legs. That is, with young players, it's built. All right, they can focus so long, and then they're going to take a break. Well, let's get them to focus 5 more minutes each day, 5 more minutes, and then that tolerance builds up. And that's why they say with young players, sometimes guys can do that, not many can. Right. And that's why you have to pick and choose and how you those situations. But you got to. That's why practice has to be as tough as it is, and do what we do. But it's all part of that process to win.
Did a Steeler fan really give that kind of accolade to Roger Staubach?
Yeah, I can believe that.
But that's that appreciation you have for greatness, right?
It is. I mean, listen, you have your team, but you know when somebody on the other team is the real deal. Yeah. And he's done things the right way, been the right way, and you respect the competitor. You want to play great people. You want to play great teams, and as a coach, as a player, and to go again. But you know, at the end of the day, whether you win or they win, you still take your hat off to them about how they played the game and why they played the game. And that guy was about everything that was ever right.
Absolutely. He is the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. That's Jimbo Fisher. This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's brought to you by Bud Light, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics, reminding you to enjoy responsibly. And it's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We will return to Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road. Much more Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit to come. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College.
Number 101 is something special for Osman. Oz with the first down reception.
Was Jamon Osman making that catch, reaching back, and it was the 101st in his career, becoming the 18th Aggie with 100 or more catches for his career. As we mentioned, he would finish with 8 of them on the day. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit from Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road. A reminder that Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, a VIP tour of Reed Arena, and will be recognized on the video board during an Aggie basketball game. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. To your questions. Ian Curtis is up first. I had failed to have young Ian be first the last couple of weeks. Coach, how has communication during games changed over your coaching career?
Oh, wow. The number of headsets, the accessibility to players, how you signal, how you do things. I mean, used to be when I played, the coach told the guy to play, and he ran in and told you. And you got in the huddle, and you told them. You know what I mean? And you always, even when I started coaching, we still alternated players going in and out of the game and told players. And then it went into signaling, then it goes into no huddle, then it goes. And I think very soon, I mean, like pro ball, I think in time here in college pretty quickly, I think the quarterbacks and coaches will have a headset in the helmet, which I think it would be extremely beneficial and quicker and easier and would be very good. Plus, gets them ready for playing to the next level. So, I mean, drastically, how you communicate and what you do, and how many coaches are signaling. Used to be if then one guy signaling, everybody got signal. Now each position has his coaches signaling, and I mean, it's become an event. I tell you what, he thinks them up, man.
He does.
The questions he comes up with
are fantastic.
Amazing. They are, and they're very inquisitive, but also very observant. I mean, he's so observant. His observations are great. That's what I'm trying to say. I guess it's amazing for somebody his age.
I am thrilled that he's.
You're going to end up being a coach. You better quit. You better quit and go find something else. You better find something else to do. You better go enjoy your day.
Cameron wants to know, how can we stop the run better?
Well, I mean, the big things on that, interior runs we played pretty good except for those drives, and we've been playing the run extremely well. We lost a couple of leverage points on some guys. We had a couple missed assignments that were supposed to be in some leverage points, which is very uncharacteristic for us. And then we missed tackles. And we got to be more physical, take on blockers, set the edges better, and play our gaps better. We do.
It was, I think it was Gus Malzahn who said going in, he said, when you run against the Aggies, they are gap secure, which I thought was a very interesting.
They are big time gap secure, and they do a great job.
I love seeing this. You talk about the thinking and then reading and reacting. This defense now reads and reacts, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know what's going on, what your assignments are, and where your help is, and your leverage points, and you play.
I saved this one from last week from Mike, and he said, since A&M is a top 20 research university, have you reached out to the researchers to find ways to make the game safer and in respect to maybe better protective gear?
Yeah, we talk about technological things all the time. We've done that with different groups across the country or here at this place, and also and your analytics, getting information, keys, things, how you break the game down, your tendencies, their tendencies. I mean, a ton from all your math departments and people. We use a lot of people in that regard.
Yeah.
That's why people don't realize this game now has become so – it's not just – analytics is a point, but analytics can be overdone. There's a purpose for them, but they can be overdone. But the intelligence level and the amount of information that go into a football game and the research of the opponent plus yourself – it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. How much is still eye test for you?
Excuse me?
How much is still eye test for you and feel? And I know that's a word. I mean, I know you like more information.
No, there's information, but you have to, when you're on you have to feel things in the game. Mm-hmm. When it's time to call a certain play, when it's time to hit that trick play, when it's time to hit that shot, when it's time to get so-and-so in a match. There is. I mean, there's certain guys that can just feel it and you sense it and you're able to adjust that. But that's still a part of this game and it will never go away.
Right.
Now, all your analysts think that's crazy, but that's not that. It doesn't work that way.
What I'm thinking about is what you said last year when Kellen looked you in the eye and you knew he could.
Yeah, there was that
trust, right?
And when they're getting it in a game and the flow of a game, when to cut back on a guy, offense, defensively, or how you call a game by how his flow and rhythm is going. But then you can see there's certain eyes, and all of a sudden he's processing and getting through things, and you can really start to expand, whether it's on offense or that happens on defense too, of how you make calls and how your team is seeing what's going on by the opponent, or the keys there, or the reads there. So you can add a blitz, you can add a deep shot, you can add a trick play that the whole group is grasping that. There's a big part of feeling that when you're on the field.
Shelby wants to know, how would you assess overall team speed?
I would say above average. I mean, I think we can run. I don't think we're blazers. I mean, but we can run, and for the most part, we work them hard, and our guys do run well. But I would say very above average.
Gotcha. Isabella is throwing us a curveball. What are you planning on eating for breakfast on Saturday?
Saturday morning. That'll be early. That'll be a 7 o'clock pregame meal. So, because we do it 4 hours before the game. The game's at 11. We'll have 6:45 team walk and 7 o'clock pregame meal. So I usually don't eat a pregame. They'll probably have pancakes and steak.
Gotcha.
That's what it'll be for that right there. And what to do. I eat a couple bites of steak maybe, and a piece of bacon, or I always eat a piece of bacon in the morning. Bacon's good with everything. Bacon's good with everything. And
absolutely.
Not much. I won't eat much, I promise. I'll drink my coffee.
Gotcha. You're just not afterwards? You wait for afterwards? And
I'll pick a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha. You got it. He's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher, and this is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credits. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road, here in College Station. Stay with us. Much more to come. This is Aggie Football from Learfield, IMG College.
Steps back, looking downfield, firing. He's got Q. Caught inside the 10. Slips a tackle. Touchdown. Aggies. 27 yards. Mond. There goes Davis for a touchdown.
Griddy is an absolute game-changing provider of electricity. They're giving Texans access to wholesale electricity with no markups, all for a membership of just $9.99 a month. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. That was absolutely selfish, by the way, on that call. The There Goes Davis was to my friend Rod Bramblett from Auburn, who passed away earlier this year. That was his famous call from the kick six, and I know you have the connections to Auburn. He was there almost 3 decades, and
yeah, it was a shame. That was a tragedy.
That really was. I mean, he embodied everything about Auburn. And with you being at different schools, that kind of stuff is like a punch in the gut at times. Isn't
it does.
People
you meet so many people over years of coaching and being around, and that's one of the great things about this business is that the amount of people you come in contact with and the tremendous personalities and people you are, and it's amazing how this game draws you, and you can learn so much from so many different types of people.
You find out you're just rooting for so many different schools because you have a friend there, or you probably people that you've coached with, and the NFL is really different because of either GAs that you've worked with.
I mean, guys are ex-GAs or head coaches now and things like that. You've been a part of, and like I say, people say your favorite teams. I've gotten older. I mean, as a kid, you grew up with your team, but now I don't really. I mean, to a point. I mean, you like certain teams, but you're rooting for people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And all your friends and the relatives and people, and it just, that's what it becomes.
This is the old good news, bad news. The bad news was it was a return, but the good news is you've got Braden Mann tackling people again.
Yeah.
The former linebacker always seems to come out.
That's enough of it.
It's when he has to. You don't want him to have to make those tackles.
But I tell you what, you don't realize when your kicker is a true football player, and he was a good football player, and he's an athlete, and he can be that safety, one of your safety, because you have a safety valve, and then you have a second guy who's a lot of guys, when they kick, you're really covering with 10. Because the guy doesn't have the ability to do that, and that's a big thing, and he doesn't mind doing it now. He'll stick his nose in there and do it really well.
You know how excited he's going to be that you called him an athlete again?
Listen, let me tell you something. That guy, and I joke about him, we always have our running thing when I'm standing behind him, and I'll say things to him, and I'll gig just to try. I mean, and then if I hit 160, 70, just, goes on and on, but it's so fun to watch him work, and he's a true master of what he does, boy.
He has really taken to heart what you have said about repeating.
Well, I mean, it is. You just can't get bored. And just you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and it's hard. But he has done it, and as well as anybody I've ever been around.
I love that last year. I think it was Tyrell Dotson said normally you're upset when the punter goes in because – I shouldn't say upset. You're disappointed. That means the offense stalled.
Exactly.
He said, but when Braden punts – we're jazzed because we know we're going to have them pinned
exactly,
deeper.
And then you get a stop. Then you get the points come. You're going, hey, we're going to get even better field position because their guy's not going to kick it as far as he does. We'll return it and we'll go get points that way.
Yeah, those are those hidden yards you talk about.
They are the hidden people you don't realize by field position where you start. Like I said, unfortunately, we gave up that one return. He one of the times he mishit a ball. And it went in the middle of the field. It was supposed to be on the left, so we were covering more left, and we had to readjust. And the ball hit, and we had a couple guys there, and they didn't realize he was going to grab it on one hop. You know what I'm saying? And we just let that, and it give that return, and that was a big one. They got a score off of that drive. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And those things are just so rare with us in that regard. And you find those hidden yards and field positions, it makes a big difference.
We will talk about what's ahead. Arkansas on Saturday. That's when we return to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College.
15-yard strike to Anias.
Another one for Anias Smith, his second touchdown of the year. Aggies against Auburn on Saturday. Auburn with the 28-20 win. Arkansas on Saturday, 11 o'clock is the kick, 10 o'clock the CHI St. Joseph Health pregame show. Before we get to that, Jeff wants to know, how important is the video team in practice and in preparation?
Oh, everything. I mean, everything you could, because listen, you can coach all you want. When you can show the video, picture's worth 1,000 words. And you can explain it and show it and repeat it and slow it down, speed it up, and the different repetitions it has. And we have an outstanding staff. I mean, an outstanding staff in our video. They do a tremendous job in how they do it and the way they do it. And, I mean, when you're walking off that field, and when I get off the field, by the time I'm there, I'm already watching practice film.
Are you really?
Oh,
Wow.
it's incredible. I mean, going in, jump in the shower 2 seconds, and 10 minutes, 15 minutes after that, you're going to hit the thing, it's up. Those guys, they work now. You have no idea the amount of time that they put in to do that.
When a coach has that kind of trust, though, right? When it comes to job opportunity, you can trust that person. They're always going to have a job, aren't they?
Oh, they are. I mean, listen, those people around you, the support staff that does so many things that you take for granted. You really do. You don't have enough time. You don't thank them enough. Mm-hmm. And I do. We have so many people in recruiting and video and management and administration and, I mean, just everywhere that do so many little things. The secretaries and how much they do and they handle and that you never get. I mean, we have listen, I know because when sometimes I'll get to a recruit, he's been there for a weekend, and I'll meet him and talk to him during the time. I say, I don't want to get in great detail, and we'll have some chats, but at the end I want to kind of clean things up. And how many times I get there and say, okay, well, what questions do you have? What concerns do you have? Is there anything I can clean? Coach, your staff did an amazing job. Not just talking about our football staff, but the administrative staff, supporting staff, the recruiting people. I mean, that they are truly vested and they love A&M. Yeah. And we're blessed, and I'm blessed to have a staff of that caliber.
Because they are coming for more than just football as well, right?
They are.
You can always depend on them, that staff as well.
Well, you can. You can't do this job and be successful if you're not all in. Mm-hmm. If you're not locked in emotionally and psychologically, physically, I mean, every lock-in you can have. It's too hard to be successful.
Yeah.
And they do it and do a tremendous job.
So if communication changed in years, the film, right? When you were doing film and you walked off the field, right?
Oh yeah.
You couldn't look at it immediately.
No, not till video, VHS, and all that. And that started coming in like my senior year of college. That was 86, 87, in that realm, right in there, 88, when all that stuff started coming in. We still did things by
reel to reel.
All these young coaches now would quit. If they had to go do all the things I mean, you talk about making cut-ups of a video. You used to walk in a room, sometimes, I mean, a giant room. And like we used to take the 16 millimeter films, mm-hmm. and you would go through and cut every toss sweep, every deep, like square end pass, every deep corner pass, every deep drag, or every drag. Mm-hmm. You broke every play up. And what you did on that film, on that millimeter, you took it where it ended, you cut it. Mm-hmm. You cut it out. You took a piece of tape, you stuck it on the wall, and above it, it said what all those plays were. And you did that for every tape you had. And you had to find it, do it, tape it. Then you had to go back and you wanted to make a teaching reel of all your, say, we have a pass called dip. Mm-hmm. There's a dip, there's all kind of tags off of it. But all of our dips, in dip Z corners, dip Z posts, for instance, you had to go back and put all of them back together and put them on a thing, splice them together, put a thing down there, tie them together, boom, and then run. Do you know how many hours that would take? And then you would do it, and sometimes you'd put one in backwards or flip one up upside down, and it would come through, and you go, you got to be kidding me, man. Or you'd put all them things on a wall, and I'm talking about you'd have hundreds mm-hmm. of plays and tapes, and thousands of pieces of that, and the tape would break and all fall on the floor.
Oh, no.
And the night, and you'd have to go reorganize, and coach, you did do. Do you have any idea how much it's changed and how easy it is and how?
Not that long ago,
no,
right?
It
really
isn't
not that long ago. Now you can just put in dip, right, and all the dip plays come in. Right?
They would do it. I mean, it's amazing the technological change, which is also why there's so much more for a coach to do and so many more hours for him to invest in. Mm-hmm. Because the more information you get, the more you got to process, the more you got to learn, the more you got to plan, the more you got to do. So the hours of a coach have greatly increased because of the volume of information and then the ability to communicate mm-hmm. because of this thing in recruiting. Right. Because it never stops. Right. Whether you're texting, emailing, calling. Back in the old days, listen, you called home and you couldn't call after 9:30, 10 o'clock because mom and dad was mad. All right? So if they weren't at home, you might catch them at the coach, or if you're lucky enough to get the girlfriend's number. Other than that, you couldn't get a hold of them.
Right.
And if you had to be by phone yourself, so how many times you were riding down the road, pull in a gas station and use a payphone? How many? You had to always kept quarters in your car as a coach. You had packs of quarters always in your car, in your pocket. You always had to keep. And kids say, payphone, huh? Our kids don't even know what a payphone is now.
No.
I'm serious. They don't.
No.
I mean, how many times you used to be riding and you have to pull over and get gas and go to a payphone to make a call, and then pray he was there. Mm-hmm. And then he'll be back in 10 minutes, so you didn't have to sit there and go in and buy a Coke, buy a bag of peanuts, sit there in the car, and wait, and then call. Well, he ain't back yet. Well, you know when he's going to be back. Well, then he's lucky enough to talk to. I mean, that whole world of coaching, as far as film watching, study, communication, recruiting, it's changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the hours and the grind it is. And I joke about this, and I love every minute of it. I mean, you grind, but listen, I wouldn't be doing anything else because the hours and what you got to love coaching. I always tell somebody, if you're going to coach, if you can live without it, go live without it. You'll be happy. If you can't, then coach.
Yeah.
Because it's that competitive, it's that hard, it's that tough as far as the hours and the demand. But it's what we do.
Yeah.
And the communication world and the video world, that technological aspect has changed everything.
Sure has. I promise I'll get to Arkansas next segment, but that was just great.
I hate to say it. It made me think back, and I would just think about
awesome.
this. But you know what? I say you wouldn't do it. But how much fun now you look back and say, man, how many hours we spent up there? We'd be up there till 3 or 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. That's all night trying to get that stuff done. And see, and here's the other thing. If you did a game, or you had a game on Saturday, they would have to process it overnight. They'd get your video. Mm-hmm. Well, you didn't get, like now, we can get the video first thing Sunday morning. We're breaking it down, all that stuff right after the game. You yourself never got your own millimeter film until Sunday. Then Sunday night, if it was far away, you'd ship it. When we were in small college football, if that guy was 6 hours away, 8 hours away, you'd find a place 3 or 4 hours away and take off about 11 o'clock that night and drive
and meet
halfway. And when you'd swap my film, I'd swap your film. And we'd drive back, get home about 7 or 8 in the morning, time for the meeting, go right into work, and then go in and break it down and do it. You wouldn't even sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to go get the film and do those things. That was just the way it was.
Yeah. Did you ever ride with somebody? Then
somebody, if he was late, you'd have to take somebody with you to make sure you stayed awake, or you drive, they drive. Because, I mean, you'd be grinding all day working, and sometimes you wouldn't leave till 9 or 10 that night and get there at 1 or 2, and then by the time you drove back, it's 5, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning to do it.
What a bonding. That's why you have so many friends on the road, right? Why you root for so many people.
Amazing.
We will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road, and this is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College.
You're back.
Football and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy's smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. And we are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. It's the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. They have checked in on Facebook Live. A Cutter, once again, that's got to be the farthest. Chicago, Columbus, Hanover, Pennsylvania, Iowa, California, and Texas. Choate, Flatonia, Fort Worth, Cypress, San Antonio. Jimmy, you've got people checking in every week for you.
There's so many Aggies everywhere.
So many Aggies everywhere.
From me former students, they're everywhere.
Absolutely. I absolutely love it. There's one, was it Costa Rica? Did you say, Matt? Was it Costa Rica that's checked in? That's awesome. Arkansas. This is a Razorback team that, okay, let me ask you as a coach. Are good, bad that they lost against San Jose State? Are you expecting them to want to get that taste out of their mouth?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, they definitely do. I mean, whether they say it's us, you'd much rather win because your confidence and things grow and you build from that. But at the same time, it presents an urgency to you, and hopefully it does, and how you play and prepare this. And they're a very good team. Chad's a good coach, been around a long time. They'll play well on offense. He runs the offense. They've always had, eye violations, do different things. Young, skilled guys are very good. Nick can throw the football everywhere. Good leader, smart guy. Tight ends, talented. Backs are good. Defense, John, multiple looks, things he does up there. Been around a long time. Got good pass rushers, two good inside defensive guys. A linebacker, number 8, Harris, who's one heck of a football player. Safeties 2 and 9. The corner 21's back. He was their best guy last year and things. And they have a very good team. They'll be sound in the kicking game. So listen, we need to go play well. We need to keep practicing well, clean up some of the mistakes we had today, fix them tomorrow, and to be able to go play well on Saturday.
Can you create some turnovers, and how do you create turnovers in a game?
Or is do your job.
Just being
Listen, do your
simple?
job and be fundamentally sound, play physical, great leverage on the football, keep your eyes, and attack the football and attack the defenders. And turnovers come when you're doing your job. I always say all the big plays come when you make smart plays. When you make smart plays, big plays come. Do your job within. Everybody said, keep trying to make big plays, then you get out of your element. Do your job, play the leverages, do the things you got to do on offense, defense, and good things will happen to you.
This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Our final segment's next. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College. CHI St. Joseph pregame show, and then the kick at 11. Aggies, Arkansas, all along the Texas A&M Football Network. For Jimbo, for Kevin Mensch, our engineer, Abby Klatt, our producer, in our Learfield IMG College studios, I'm Andrew Monaco. Thanks and gig 'em. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College.